River Rouge Panthers. This is World War II video lesson. This is video number 2. Okay, we're going to kind of show how the Treaty of Versailles is tied in to World War II. If you remember in our World War I lesson, this is the treaty that ends World War I. But it's very important because it kind of guarantees there's going to be a World War II, even though most people don't realize it at the time. So the big three, they lay the smackdown on Germany with this Treaty of Versailles. And the big three is the United States, Great Britain, and France. They're laying the smackdown on Germany. They're making them surrender to such unreasonable terms that it's going to make Germany desperate, broke, and angry. And countries are like people. If you know somebody that's broke, angry, and desperate, what kind of personality do they have, right? They're usually always upset. They're always angry, right? So this treaty makes Germany pay for World War I. They got to pay all these countries back that they bombed, and they're going to be in debt for generations. And this makes Germany so desperate and broke and hopeless, right? When you take hope away from people, people that are hopeless do crazy things, right? So Germany feels hopeless. This is just a little map here. You can kind of study. You can hit pause on the video. Kind of read this right here. It gives you an idea of what Germany agreed to with the Treaty of Versailles. This is another really good visual. When you're studying for your World War II test, you're going to have a test based on all these videos. Kind of pause the video right here and kind of read this over. This explains to you some of the things that Germany agreed to. Okay, this is a very famous political cartoon. You're going to see this on your World War II test. I want to break it down for you because it's kind of prophetic. Like whoever drew this cartoon had a better idea of what the future held than the leaders of these other countries. It says peace and future cannon fodder. Cannon fodder is just a word for, things that get killed in the way when a cannon goes off. So this is the 1940 class over this child. At the time this is signed, it's 1919. Peace treaty. So this little kid just read the peace treaty and he's crying. So the symbolism is he realizes by the time he's old enough, when he becomes an adult, which will be around 1940, the guy that drew this cartoon is predicting in 1940, because this peace treaty is so bad and it gives Germany such a bad deal, that there's going to be another war. It says here, curious, I seem to hear a child weeping. Well, the guy that made this cartoon in 1919, he was only off by 1 year. World War II starts in 1939. In this cartoon, he predicts it's going to start in 1940. So it was an amazing cartoon in the sense that this guy called it, He knew what was going to happen. So know this cartoon, hit pause, kind of think about what I said, and be ready to explain this when you take your test. Okay, let's talk about Hitler comes to power. Okay, before he became the Chancellor of Germany, he was arrested for treason, and he's in jail for 9 months for trying to overthrow the government. He actually tried to arrest a bunch of German government officials. He tried to put them under a house arrest inside of a bar, right? In Germany, they call them beer halls. Beer is a big, big thing in Germany, even to this day. And it doesn't succeed, it fails. But in jail, okay, make sure you know this, he writes a book, and the name of that book is Mein Kampf, and it's German for my struggle. So while he's in jail, he writes this book called Mein Kampf. It means my struggle. It's not very well written. However, he does kind of lay out his plan and what he's going to do. It has several different covers. This is an older version. But you can still get this book today, and it kind of tells what he wants to do and what his goal is, his ideas for Germany. And a lot of people say, well, if he wrote a book and explained what he was going to do, why didn't anybody stop him? Well, the reason is this. At the time he wrote the book, he was a nobody. Nobody knew who he was. Nobody bought the book. So nobody really read the book. By the time this book became popular and started selling, it was too late. He was already Chancellor of Germany and he was already implementing his plan. But this is what he called his plan. His justification for all these horrible things he's going to do. He said it's for Lebensraum. That's German for living space. That Germany needs more living space. It needs more place, more land for Germans. And in part of World War I and before that, Germany had become smaller and smaller. They'd lost land. So he wants a lot of that land back. So he's going to justify everything he does in the name of Lebensraum, living space. And this is what he's going to sell to the German people. Germany needs to expand. So in 1933, he's appointed the Chancellor of Germany by the President Hindenburg. Now, Germany had a president, but they also had a chancellor. They kind of make him chancellor just to chill him out because they're worried that he's going to try to become president. And this is where it gets a little sticky. People go, how could the German, like I said in my last video, not all Germans liked Hitler. And, well, why did they vote for him? Well, they really didn't vote for him. It's not like he ran for president and became the president of Germany. That's not how it went down. A lot of people think that's how it went down. It's not. He becomes chancellor. He's appointed. So when you're appointed to a position, I mean, it's given to you, right? I'm going to appoint you. There's no election. Now, the Nazis had won some election for representation, but Hitler himself was appointed. And a lot of Germans think this is a mistake. The Nazis are kind of crazy, right? So again, not everybody supports us in Germany. So he becomes a chancellor, but he has bigger ideas. Then Hindenburg, being an old guy, he dies. So here's what Hitler does. And this is a long story. We're not going to go too far off on this tangent, but I'll make it short and sweet. What Hitler does as chancellor, once Hindenburg dies, he dissolves the position of president. So technically, Hitler is never the president of Germany. He gets rid of the position. So by default, he becomes the supreme leader as chancellor, if that makes sense. Now, there's a lot of different theories as to why. The theory is he didn't think he could win the presidency, or he thought somebody else would become president and fire him because he was appointed. So it was kind of a way to protect himself, and that he didn't think he could actually become president legitimately. It's kind of a power grab. It's a way to put him in charge. He's not really worried about what his title is. If he's in charge, he's in charge. That's what he wants. He becomes known as the Führer. So you're going to guess my Führer. Like you see movies in World War II. Sometimes in video games you'll hear that. Führer means leader. He makes himself the supreme leader. Technically, he's never president. But he becomes the supreme leader, and he is going to build the greatest army the world has ever seen. So he tells his advisors he wants to absorb Austria, his home country. That's where he was from. He wasn't even German. Make sure you know that. Hitler was Austrian, not German. And don't get Austria confused with Australia. Australia is a separate country. It's actually a continent. It's nowhere near Germany. Austria, if you look at a map, is right under Germany. So Hitler's Austrian. So he wants to absorb Austria, his home country, and he wants Czechoslovakia, which is a country on the eastern border of Germany. Again, this whole thing of Lebensraum, living space. So they have the Munich Conference. It's held in 1938. This is pronounced Munich. Okay? And again, don't forget, right? If I do my job right and you do your job right, you should get an A on the test. What all this stuff I make you hear, everything I'm talking about, this PowerPoint, the video, what am I doing? I'm giving you test answers. And when you go to college, when there's somebody up there talking, giving a lecture, just remember, they're giving you test answers. They're doing their job. You got to do your job, right? So, the Munich Conference is held in Germany in 1938. So here's a map. Here's Germany. Here's Czechoslovakia. Austria's right here. And they want this piece of Czechoslovakia called the Sudetenland. And this little piece of Czechoslovakia, so here's all of Czechoslovakia here. This little piece, it's German-occupied Czechoslovakia. Even though it's in Czechoslovakia, which is a different country, these people here speak German, and they associate more with Germany. So it's like, look, they speak German, it should be part of Germany. So he wants this. He wants the Sudetenland. So they're going to have a meeting because everybody's getting worried. They want to talk things out. Because, it's 1938. The Great War, World War I, ended in 1918, right? So you're talking 20 years since World War I ended, the Great War. Nobody wants another war, so everybody's freaking out like, oh man, here we go again. This is going to start another war. So they're going to try to talk things out because they don't want to have another world war. So Hitler tells the Prime Minister of Great Britain, at this time it's Neville Chamberlain. It's not Churchill, not yet. Neville Chamberlain is the Prime Minister of Great Britain. And Hitler tells him, hey man, I just want the Sudetenland, which is German-occupied Czechoslovakia. And Neville Chamberlain, he agrees to let Hitler just have it. He goes, you can have it if you promise that there's not going to be any more German expansion. Chamberlain's looking at it like, I'll just give him what he wants. Who cares about the little Sudetenland? As long as he doesn't try to take all of Czechoslovakia, go into Poland. He's just trying to make sure he doesn't have bigger ambitions. So Hitler's playing the game. Hitler's like, hey, bro, all I want is Czechoslovakia. That's it. That's all I want. Who wants war? I don't want war. I don't want anything more than the Sudetenland. Give me that little piece of Czechoslovakia. I'm cool, bro. I ain't trying to start no war. Chamberlain believes this. He buys it. And for a second, he's a hero. People think, hey, Chamberlain avoided war. But after the Munich Conference, Neville Chamberlain gives his famous speech. He says they had peace in our time. And he waves what's supposedly the deal that he made with Hitler. So it's looking like they avoided war. Everybody's happy. Well, not everybody. There's a guy named Winston Churchill in Great Britain. He was disgusted with how Chamberlain just caved in and gave Hitler what he wanted. And he said, this is appeasement. And this is a word that's used today in politics. If anybody says appeasement, even now in 2018, people automatically think of Neville Chamberlain. Because appeasement's looked at as a sign of weakness. And that's Winston Churchill. We'll learn a lot about him. The greatest prime minister in the history of Great Britain. So what happened here is kind of like this. If a school bully is trying to take somebody's lunch money, and one of the first kids just gives up the lunch money every day, the other kid is like, you want my lunch money, bro? Come get it. And he knows he's got to fight this kid every day for the lunch money. Which kid's he going to go to every day? He's going to go to the kid that just gave it up, right? That's kind of what happened to Neville Chamberlain. And we'll continue this story in our next video.